Every time another year passes, I can't believe, can't believe it happened that day. That morning you taking us to school, plays in my head every day. I don't think there's a day that I don't think about it. But I can't keep doing these songs anymore. This is my final farewell, Dad. Listen.
Let me start it off another way this year around. No longer scared, I'm proud, no more tears around. I'm not the man you probably always wanted me to be. I'm not really sure what you can see, but believe. No longer ask.
Good morning and welcome to Talk Radio Europe to Rishi Palmer. Good morning, Rishi. How are you this morning?
Hi, I'm fine, doing well, thank you.
Good. Rishi, thanks for joining us and talking to us about your story. Now, Rishi, obviously we're going to go back to 10 years ago this weekend, and you lost your father on that day, didn't you?
Yes, I did, unfortunately, yes.
Okay. Now, can you tell us and my listeners just a little bit about your dad, what he did, and a little bit about him as a person?
Yes, my father actually, well, in terms of, being in the tower that day, he worked at a company called Cantor Fitzgerald. It was in Tower 1, floor 103. He was a computer consultant. That was one of the companies that was hit very hard on the attack. A lot of employees lost their lives that day, unfortunately. Just a little bit about my father, just to put it simply, he was just, a very energetic guy, always happy, and always had a smile on his face. That's what everybody remembers him as. Always had a smile on his face in all his pictures, whenever you would speak to him. Very positive person, and he was just everything to me. To put it in a nutshell, he was there for me for, when it came to schoolwork, came to sports. I was big on music. He taught me the guitar as he played when he was growing up. So that was, I'm glad he was able to pass that on to me. And, music is still in my genes and a big part of me. And yeah, he was just everything to me. That's the best way to put it.
Okay, now you were 16 on that day. And can you tell me, Rishi, what do you actually remember? Being obviously at 16 years of age, you'll have a full memory of what actually happened that day. Can you talk me through the events of the day for you?
Oh yeah, I'll never forget this day. To be honest with you, I was 16. It was just I think maybe the first or second week of school. I started my junior year. We call it over here, second to last year. Before you go to university. My dad was he would take us to school every morning. Me and my brother, who was 2 years younger than me at the time, he actually just started school, same week. We were going to the same school. So, he would take us to school every morning and, take the train to the city. And, just that day, I can remember very vividly that, he was just, in a rush. Like, as always, he was very punctual. So he always wanted to be, at work on time and, the last guy out, a very hard worker. So that was understandable. But I just, recall that day, him, speeding and just really, trying hard to get that train. And, still to this day, it really hurts me that, I wish, like, maybe, if he could have had an extra red light or, maybe if I'd forgotten something at home, like my lunch or, anything, would have slowed him down and he possibly would have missed that train. But, that's basically, what happened in terms of he dropped us off at school. I just remember closing the door and him zooming off. I never, obviously, even thought that would be the last time I'd see my father. And then, I was in, I think it was in the morning around, I don't really remember the timings. I know it happened around 8:39. I just remember being in English class at the time. And then I think on the loudspeaker, the principal came on and said, there had been an attack on the World Trade Center. And, if anyone was concerned or had a parent there or anything, just, report to the auditorium. And, at first, I wasn't too sure because my father had just taken this job a couple months before in the World Trade Center. And then I was like, oh, yeah, my dad's in there. And, it just kind of hit me. So I remember just rushing to the auditorium. My brother was there. And we just, I guess they contacted my mother. She was on the way. So me and my brother were there with a bunch of people. Just everybody was kind of worried and didn't know what to expect. I just remember my mom coming to pick me up. We were, we just got in her car. And it just, seemed like everybody was in frantic, out on the streets when we were driving back home. It didn't seem right. It's hard to explain, but you could tell there was some sense of fear in, everybody around, even though they hadn't been affected. But, we quickly got home, turned on the news and just, couldn't really believe what had happened. And, that's when we, started going on the computer, trying to get in contact, tried calling my dad. Everything was down. around that day, unfortunately. I tried emailing him, I tried calling him, everything was just completely down. And then slowly we had, some family friends come by, show us, give us support and help out, and just, calling different numbers, hospitals, anything we could get a hold of. But that's pretty much, what I remember. And then, unfortunately, my dad never made it home, with the days to follow. So.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you there, and I think you've covered it. You said your dad never made it home that night or the days that followed. Right. How long was it before you personally, Rishi, realised you'd lost your father, you'd lost your dad?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, I was pretty numb, that's the word, during this time, and there was a lot to take in at the time, and I really, in the back of my head, I kept thinking, okay, he's gonna come home, maybe he's in the hospital, recovering, because at the time a lot of people were in hospitals recovering, and a bunch of my uncles and family friends had gone out to the city, going from hospital to hospital looking for him, and I'm like, okay, knowing my dad, he was smart, he probably got out, whatever, we couldn't get a hold of him, so he'll turn up. But I guess as days turned into days and, weeks turned to weeks, it was slowly, we just kind of, I mean, I still can't even accept the fact that he's gone. I guess it's something that I never really will, per se, even though I know he's gone. But yeah, I guess as weeks and weeks went by, and, we kept watching TV and, seeing all the coverage, and I guess, in a sense, he just, I knew he was gone. So,
Rishi, you said at the beginning that his company was one of the ones that were hard hit by it. When you were watching the footage on the TV, did you know whether his office was above or below where the plane had struck?
I have no idea, to be honest with you.
You didn't at that point, no?
I don't even like looking at that footage ever. Any pictures or anything, I just not comfortable with that. So.
No, I can understand that. And I think part of the reason it took you so long for the acceptance was the sudden trauma of what had happened and the whole events around what had happened. Again, the fact that his company was hit so hard, were you, or was your mother or your family mixing with other colleagues of your father who were in the same situation?
Yeah, we a couple of his close colleagues are definitely, I mean, I'm not sure who exactly had passed away in terms of colleagues and what, because, like I stated, he had just, I think, started working there for a couple months prior. But one colleague of his, I believe they worked together in the past at other companies, and I'm not sure, I think he might have worked at the same company as my father. I'm not really sure, to be honest. But, he did reach out, and we do keep in touch with him, and, he was just, sharing stories with my father, how he was always, talking about us kids, always filming, so happy about, our achievements, and always looking forward to come home and watch our, sports games. I was big on basketball. My dad was very big supporter for my basketball games and was always there. So, I mean, that's pretty much, the memory I have of his colleagues.
Okay, 16 years of age, it's a key time for your education at that age. Going forwards over the coming, because as you touched on, it's the start of a new year, at a new term at school and college. Mm-hmm. Did it have an impact on you over the following months? I mean, did it hit you hard psychologically, and did it have an effect on your studies?
Yes. I mean, at the time, I didn't even go back to school for about, I can't even remember, maybe a month or two.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, luckily, and thankfully, my teachers were very understanding given the circumstance, and I'm trying to, jog my memory. It's been quite a while. But yeah, I mean, obviously, my studies definitely, I think declined a little bit, not too much, surprisingly. I mean, the main thing was my father actually used to help me a ton when it came to schoolwork. Whenever I had a problem with, math, for example, that was a tough subject for me, and he was
suddenly gone.
Yeah.
Rishi, when you did, sorry, were you going to say something?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to keep saying that, like I said, it did, affect my schoolwork a little bit, but luckily, I was able to, get through high school, and
okay.
I even,
Can I ask you this question? When you first went back to school, was it a sense of intrepidation from you as to how the other students were going to treat you, or was there at any time you felt that you were being not singled out, but there was a degree of sympathy, or people were treating you differently because, hey, that's that kid Rishi who lost his dad at 9/11?
Well, I never really felt like, as you said, singled out or per se, or, felt different. I mean, obviously I was emotionally a different person. I was a completely different person before what I was. Like I mentioned, I was kind of numb to a lot of things. I didn't really, I was really down. But with that being said, people were definitely, more than sympathetic. Everyone would ask how I was doing. I had great support from, all the teachers, the principals, and so I never really felt in a bad way about it. If that's the way I put it. So it was a good support system. So yeah, that was good.
Okay. Now, obviously, at some stage here, you managed to get in touch with, or they got in touch with you, Tuesday's Children. And we were speaking to Terry Sears earlier on. Tell me, how have Tuesday's Children helped you?
Yes, they've definitely been a great organization that's been in touch with us. I think it's more of a program for children and I guess young adults like myself. Or when I was going, at the time when it happened, they provide like a lot of athletic events, to professional events. They provide tickets, just different events to people that are mainly children, like I said, affected in 9/11 events. So I remember I do remember over here, it's, the basketball league, NBA. There was the finals with a team in New Jersey, where I'm from, and those tickets are extremely hard to get, for anybody. And I remember I was fortunate enough for them to give me some tickets to go to that game, and that was definitely a great memory, seeing, my favorite basketball team growing up, in the finals and being there. So with that, they definitely helped, stuff like that, I guess, keep our minds off, what's happened, and, provide support in that sense. So yeah, they definitely helped a good amount. I'm glad I got in contact with them.
Now, Rishi, I hope you don't mind me bringing this up because we didn't discuss this, but I know that you wrote, encouraged by what goes on at Tuesday's Children, a beautiful letter to your dad, which was printed in the Legacy Letters book, which has been compiled by Tuesday's Children, and was published last month. Did you find that helped in the healing process?
To be honest with you, in a sense, yes. But digging back, into the past about that, I wrote the letter, in retrospect of how, remembering that day. So I had to kind of like go back into that day and rewind the events and play them through my head, and then put them in thoughts onto paper. So in turn, it kind of was a little tough to do, but once I was able to type it all out and read it to myself a couple of times, it kind of in a way was a therapy in itself. And I'm glad also I was able to get published and picked in that for the book, because I've definitely I've had a couple people contact me and saying it's a very touching letter. So that's also nice knowing that people as well can feel the emotion in it.
Well, it's gone down forever now. It's a record now for you to your dad, which has gone down forever, which will always be for people to be able to look back in history and see, and it will never be forgotten, and that's something that you need to be proud of.
Right, definitely.
Okay, now, moving forward to more positive things. Music has been playing a big part in your life. You said earlier on your dad taught you how to play the guitar, and that's something that music has followed on with you, and you haven't let go of that. And you love music, you're a huge music fan, but you're also a bit of a musician yourself, and you like to write and play music to heal, to help with the healing process as well, don't you?
Oh, yes. That's, like I tell people sometimes, if it wasn't for my music, I'm not really sure where I would be right now, to be honest, to put it bluntly. But, yes, my father did, he showed me guitar when I was about 12 or 13, I'd say. I played a little bit here and there, and I played in a couple bands here and there. Like I said, I wanted to follow his footsteps because I know he played in the band when he was growing up. But as time grew on, I kind of changed genres of music, and I'm now more into hip hop / R&B. And like I said, with hip hop, I actually write my own lyrics and I recite them on the mic, record them. And I found that extremely therapeutic. Just, whatever's on my mind, I just write it down and, put it into lyrical form and, make it, presentable so people, other people can relate to it maybe. And, it helps me tremendously listening back. And it's, like I said, it's the greatest thing I've ever came across. And I'm very thankful that my father, introduced me into the music world. And like I think I'm not sure if we touched on this, but since about 2007, I decided to write and record a track in memory of my father, kind of just like my way of talking to him, letting him know what was going on here, and also my way of kind of like letting go. I've been doing this I did it since 2007 every year, and this year was the last one I did, probably the last one ever, as the 10th year anniversary. And honestly, it's very emotionally hard to do these type of tracks. Same in sense with the letter I wrote. It's kind of like going back into the day it happened, kind of thinking about my dad, kind of also what's going around me, what's been bothering me. So yeah, this is probably the last one I'm going to do, and I've kind of collected all of them and released them as a small EP, so people can listen and maybe relate, especially victims, and maybe relate, maybe might help them understand what I went through, and they might help them heal. So,
okay, and we're going to play that. Is that the track that we're going to play towards the end of this interview?
Yeah, it's actually titled the final farewell. Excuse me.
Okay.
That's basically my final farewell to my father that I recorded.
What does the future hold for you as an individual? How much has this shaped you, and have you forgiven?
Yes, definitely, looking back at the past 10 years, it definitely has been probably I can't even explain how tough it's been to me, to be honest. It's definitely, though, in a positive way, made me a much stronger person. In a sense, like I mentioned before, this is, the last track I wrote for my father, because I kind of feel also kind of like, I'm able to let go now, and accept, what happened, unfortunately, something out of our hands we couldn't control. And I know my father, he's in a good place, and he's been, in a sense, looking down on me, I feel. And that's kind of like the drive that's pushed me to this day, knowing that, I want to make my father proud. Even looking back, like, I was able to make it through university all by myself, pick a school, because I know my dad wouldn't have let me do anything. It's not myself. He was, I went to him for everything, advice on anything, and he would have, helped me chose my path. But that being said, I was able to do all this by myself. I graduated with a degree, in finance all by myself, a good grade point average. And, I was able to, find a job myself in, the finance industry, which I still have right now, a good career. So, that's really pushed me to keep going. And to this day, I still, think, when I'm feeling down, or if, I'm not sure what I want to do on, a big decision, I kind of just, think about what my dad would tell me, or just, think of his smile and just try to push myself. And it just keeps me going forward. And I just try to, take things with a lot less light, in terms of life. I don't try to let little things bother me as much anymore. There's, a deeper meaning to life than that now, I feel. After these 10 years, it just, starting this year, I just started realizing there's, more to life than just, kind of being down about it. And just moping about it, because it's not really going to get you anywhere. You have to just keep pushing and, succeed. And that's pretty much it. It's just definitely made me a better individual, I have to say.
You're so spot on, Rishi. You're so spot on. There's no point in sitting in a corner and crying. Life goes on, and you have to make the most of it, my friend.
Right.
Rishi Palmer, thank you very much for your time this morning. I appreciate it, and I wish you all the very best of luck in the future.
Yes, thank you for interviewing me, too. It really means a lot to me. And, we'll never forget this day, across the world. And hopefully everybody can be at peace soon. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Rishi. Bye-bye. You heard Rishi talk about his music. This is Rishi's song. It goes under the name of Rishi P, R-I-S-H-I-P. It's called September Memories. You can go into YouTube and download it. Just go into Rishi P 911, you'll find it there. And I'm going to play the fuller version of this in the next hour.
But I can't keep doing these songs anymore. This is my final farewell, Dad. Listen.
Let me start it off another way this year around. No longer scared, I'm proud, no more tears around. I'm not the man you probably always wanted me to be. I'm not really sure what you can see, but believe. No longer ask myself why'd you have to leave. I'm past the grief, now I'm just asking please. Keep looking down, keep this light above my head. You watch me suffer all those damn nights in my bed. I had dreams of you, then I wake up in tears. I thought you were back, as I'm staring in the mirror. Pour water on my face, I'm back to reality. The memories I have, cause it ended so tragically. Put me in a shadow that I couldn't escape, I couldn't relate, couldn't even look at my face. I'm now a different different person, much stronger than before. So let me say goodbye, cause it's time to close this door. It's been 10 years of hurting and fighting. I washed away the tears and I'm finally just smiling. So now, this is my final farewell. This is my final farewell. Always be a part of me, I'll never forget. You were the best dad and I feel so blessed. So now, this is my final farewell. This is my final farewell. 10 years gone and I can't believe it. On the way to school in the car, remember him speeding. Wish somebody told me that you never go see him, cause I would've made him stop, but I'm only just dreaming. I feel like screaming, Dad, slow down, please. Just wait a minute, I don't really want you to leave. This never really happened and you caught the last train. This caused fast change, now I feel insane. Never had this pain, how am I supposed to maintain? I'm feeling real lost, somebody help me now. Help me drown, cause I'm no longer healthy now. Had demons in my head, but I kicked them out, ripped them out. I no longer have to shout. Thanks to people that I have in my house. And thanks to people, help me tackle this out. I'm feeling happy, Dad, keep smiling down. It's been 10 years of hurting and fighting. I washed away the tears and I'm finally just smiling. So now, this is my final farewell. This is my final farewell. Always be a part of me, I'll never forget. You were the best dad and I feel so blessed. So now, this is my final farewell. This is my final farewell. After you left, a couple things took a toll. I turned to alcohol, no more basketball. Well, the basketball thing, it wasn't my fault. The doctor screwed up, but I trusted his thoughts. And it hurt me bad when I would look out my window, staring at the hoop, the net moves as the wind blows. Remember them nights, we would always be out there, shooting jumpers, telling me to keep my feet squared. Now I physically can't, and I mentally won't. When I see a father and son, it makes me feel cold. We ain't never even got to share a beer together. I had my own shit when I was feeling the pressure. I was seeing depression, always bleeding and stressing. But now I can say, I'm healing and resting. No longer feeling trouble, now I'm finally at peace. I gotta say goodbye, but keep on smiling at me. It's been 10 years of hurting and fighting. I washed away the tears and I'm finally just smiling. So now, this is my final farewell. This is my final farewell. Always be a part of me, I'll never forget. You were the best dad and I feel so blessed. So now, this is my final farewell. This is my final farewell.
Yeah. It's been the hardest time of my life these past 10 years. But I can't even explain how bad it's been on me. But in a way I'm kind of thankful because it's made me such a strong person today. A much better person. I couldn't have done all this without you, Dad. Thank you for everything you showed me. Thank you for everything you taught me. I will make sure to carry this on. Keep smiling down on us, Dad. I love you so much. Goodbye.
That was Rishi P there, who was my guest just on the other side of the hour, and that was his song. Now, that's one of 5 tracks that he has put together on an EP. All songs which he has done between 2007 and 2011, one each year. Now, the EP can be downloaded at all the W's, F for Freddy, N for November, spot, spot.com/September Memories. Or you can simply go to his YouTube page, and the easiest way to do that would just be to go to YouTube and type in Rishi, that's R-I-S for sugar, H for hotel, I, and a new word, P, 911. And all his songs will come up with a link in the description of each song on the webpage as to where the EP is. Steph, what?
Yeah, it gave me good. It's sad, isn't it? It brings it right back to you.
It does.
How many families' lives were totally shattered? Shattered.